Hi everybody, so I'm going to go through the solutions to the quiz. I'm going to do it in one tutorial. I've got all the answers written here, but I'm going to walk you or talk you through them to make sure it clarifies anything you might have. If you have any questions at the end, please let me know, especially if you're going to do the quiz retake. Alright, so let's jump into it. So I put the number of points per problem in parentheses to the left. So in the first problem, I've got x equals f over, or k equals f over x. I rearranged it algebraically here, so x is f over k. So I put in 20 and 50 and I get 0.4. You could have also done, you could have put in k of 50 equals 20 divided by x, and if you do the math right, you still get the same answer. All right, in B, I just got to do the algebra here, so I move the, so in the first step, I moved the r over to here, so that's f times r. Then I divided both sides by m to get the m here. And then in the last step here, I took the square root of both sides to get the v. And so I get radical f times r all over m. In number 2, kilo in your reference tables means times 10 to the 3. Micro means times 10 to the negative 6. So if I use my EE button on my calculator and I divide these two, I should get 2 times 10 to the 9th. Same thing in the next one. I do 3.08 times EE negative 12, and then I divide it by 0.076, and I would use the x squared button, and without any parentheses, that works very nicely, as you've seen I've written here, and I should get 5.3 times 10 to the negative 10th. All right, in your reference tables, most of you are fine with this. You could find those in your reference tables. When you multiply them, you should get the value of 1. Turns out these two numbers are reciprocals of each other. So if you didn't get 1, check your calculator again. Make sure you're using that EE button. All right, reading the ruler, the value right here falls between 3.1 and 3.2. But you have to add one more decimal. You could add a 0, a 1, a 2, because you always go one place beyond the smallest mark. A number of you did not do that, so you lost a half a point. Metric conversion, you simply got to move the decimal over a certain number of places. So on 23 centimeters, if I'm going centa to milli, I go one place to the right. That's where the 230 comes from. To go from centa to meters, that's 2 places to the left. And you should be able to work that out based on the chart that we did, or the kilo, hecto, deca, base unit, etc. And then grams to kilograms, we're starting at the decimal there. We're going 1, 2, 3, because you got to go 3 decimal places to get from the base unit to kilo. So that's why it's that. Next page. Okay, so how I expect you to approach this, the distance from CA to New York City, is think about in miles. You should know that it's on the order of 100 miles, not 10 miles, not 1,000 miles. You could have said 200 miles, you could have said 300 miles. That doesn't change anything. So once you know in miles, I don't want, this M stands for meters. It does not stand for miles. And I'm thinking some of you made that mistake, but I'm not really sure. So if I've got it in miles, I want to get it to meters, I go to kilometers. So 100 miles is essentially the same as 100 kilometers. And then kilo means 1,000, so I take 100 times 1,000, and that's where I get 100,000 meters. That was worth 1 point. Probably should have made it worth more, but I just reduced it to that. Next problem, dime, mass of $10 worth of dimes in kilograms. This is an old Regents problem. So 1 dime you should know is roughly 1 gram. If you put 2 or 3 grams, that's fine. Convert that to kilograms, you get 0.001, 0.002, whatever. You should also be able to figure out that there are 100 dimes to make $10. So I simply multiply 100 dimes times the mass of 1 dime, and I get 0.1 kilograms. All right, here's the next problem where a lot of you lost a lot of points because you weren't thorough. We had a problem just like this in our homework involving dollar bills on a lacrosse field. It's the exact same problem. So there's 3 steps for 3 points in part 1. You got to tell us to estimate length and width of the room, and estimate the radius or diameter of the penny. You can't just say estimate area. How? That's not easily done. Once you estimate the dimensions of each object, then you got to give us the equation for calculating the area. So it's not good enough to say calculate area. You got to say what equation? Length times width for one of them, pi r squared for the other. Then you got to say divide both areas. So there's your steps. Now I'm going to break those steps down into 2 parts. Part 1 is I want the estimation. So I got the estimation of the length of the room, I got the width of the room, and I've got the radius of a penny. I also converted, because I know I have to do that eventually, but if you didn't show that there, it's not a big deal. So 2 points for that. Now I calculate the areas here and divide them. So the area of the room is 1,000 centimeters by 1,000 centimeters. And then I'm going to divide that by the area of the penny, which is 1 centimeter times 1 centimeter. If you put the pi in there, that's fine, but you don't have to. And anyway, I get about 1,000,000 pennies. And then the last problem, you do kilogram meter squared divided by second squared divided by seconds. So what I do to make that is I do keep the first term, and then when you're dividing by seconds, it's the same as multiplying by 1 over seconds. So I have seconds squared times seconds in the denominator, so that becomes seconds cubed, and the numerator stays kilogram meters per second squared. Okay, hopefully that helps you. Again, if you still have questions, ask me.